The rich,
Cheers.
yes, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Ooh.
It's a tricky one. It's a good continuation of what we were just talking about. I think this is almost a little bit more of the mindset, I would say, that people have, or the mentality versus the money itself. I think one way to look at it, just as I'm just playing out some different examples. Yes, there's an aspect of, I guess, wealthy people putting their money to work for themselves or for in investments or in different things. Not all their money is going to just basic necessities. It's able to go to work for them. And so there's an aspect of that growing over time versus maybe somebody who's poor and has more basic needs to meet with what they're making. And so there's less going there. But I think if you're thinking about just the mindset, I think there are plenty of people who are poorer or not making as much that have more of that kind of hustle, grind out mentality that will lead them to work harder. They'll just work harder. And that combined with maybe different opportunities, different education, like different things that kind of might get added in, could allow them to have the work ethic to grow their income substantially over time. So I don't think that always means that they get poor. I think if poorer get poorer and rich get richer or vice versa, it could just be more about motivation than really anything. And that's something that isn't really necessarily directly correlated with money. That's more just like either how you grew up or your type of personality or like how you think about the world. Are you a victim or are you somebody that's going to take the bull by the horns and try to go and accomplish some things? So I think, again, can't really make this a blanket statement because there are people on both sides that do it differently. There are rich people who are lazy because they've made money and they don't have to do anything and they actually won't get richer because they're just going to blow through the money that they have. And there are poor people who work super hard and can grow their income over time. And honestly, I think sometimes people who are making less have learned to just get by on less, obviously. And if they keep keeping things limited or not overextending themselves mentality, that actually to me is way more powerful than more income, because that's the part that can be honestly controlled or kept at that level as you make more. And then your math starts to work out pretty nicely. If you've learned to get by on like bare minimum, it's so hard to change it, right? Like when you inflate your lifestyle and you get to a certain point, like it is so hard to bring it back down unless you are forced to do it. I don't like this one because I think that there's just too many examples of it being completely opposite of this from my experience.
I agree. And I feel like at the base level of this quote, one of the problems I have with it is it sounds like you're predestined for something. If you're rich, you're rich. But especially if you're poor, why even try? The system is rigged against you. You're always going to be poor. You try, the rich are just going to take it away from you. There's no issue. And I feel like people can get into the cycle, man, I'm never going to have anything. And I tell you what, you say these types of affirmations long enough, yeah, you're never going to get that promotion.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get a promotion because they don't like me at my job. So you just phone it in at your job. Guess what? You're just going to stay at your level forever. And you're making this a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways. I tell you, I have been poor. I've been worse than poor because I have been massively in debt with a very limited amount of income where I thought if I don't eat, pay taxes, don't sleep, have no expenses, it's still going to take me years to pay off this debt. In fact, my student loan, I think it took me 12 years from graduation to retire the last of that student loan. So there have been times when my net worth number has been poor. Not, you didn't have anything, but it was negative by a big number. And there was no way. I didn't have a mindset that, oh man, I'll even buy a place or own a car or any of this stuff. So you don't necessarily have to break out of it. But if I had just been controlled by something like this, thinking like, why even bother? You're just going to stay poor. I think, man, it's just such an easy trap to get into and just wallow in. So I like that one as well.
Yeah.